Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's presentation brought to you by Florida State Oriental Medical Association. My name is Natalia Morrison, and I am the Executive Assistant for FSOMA. And tonight's presentation is a really special one because it is a new member benefits product or item that we are really honored and excited to be able to bring to our community and our members. Whether you are joining us right now and you are or you are not a member, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time and your curiosity to learn more about these member benefits. So before I start the presentation, I just wanted to do some housekeepings. If you're joining us live, there is a chat box at the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions during tonight's presentation, just go ahead at the bottom of your screen, click the chat box, and write in your questions. And we will make sure to address them throughout the presentation, or we'll address them at the end of the presentation tonight. At the end of our webinar tonight, you'll also see a survey poll come up. And we would totally greatly appreciate it if you can please take a minute or two of your time and complete the survey. This is going to help us be able to bring the webinars and the information that you are craving and you're needing to be a successful acupuncture physician. So without further ado, I'm going to turn off my mic and video, and I'm going to leave the floor for Chrissy, Alejandro, and Deborah. Thank you guys for joining us today, and
thank you, Natalia.
enjoy the presentation.
Yes, thank you for having us, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you're all having a good evening so far. We are really pleased to be here to help you understand the options that you have to protect your most valuable asset, which is your income. We're so happy to be working together with FSOMA, Colonial Life, and Mutual of Omaha to bring you income protection benefits. So my name is Chrissy. I work for Schlitt Insurance Services. We have partnered with FSOMA for 25 years, helping advance the profession of acupuncture in Florida. Also on the call with us tonight are Deborah and Alejandro from Colonial Life, who will be going over some of the benefits that are available to you in just a bit. First, I'm going to cover income replacement and what that means. So the topics that we'll discuss: what is disability and what does it have to do with income protection? Why does it matter to you? And ways to customize long-term care, or long-term disability, sorry. And don't forget, in just a little bit, Deborah and Alejandro have some amazing information on Colonial's benefits that are now available. So what is disability? There's a lot of different definitions for disability, but there's one that we want to focus on when we're talking about income protection. And it is an illness or injury or disorder that causes a person to be unable to perform all or some of their duties of their job or any job. I know that's a mouthful, but the reason I say this is because the version of disability we want to be thinking of is not just any disability, but a reason you can't work. So a quick look at disability insurance is insurance that pays you in times you're unable to work due to a disability. Disability insurance is income protection. And there are two types of disability insurance: short-term and long-term. Short-term provides benefits based on a percentage of your income from as soon as the first day that you become disabled up to 6 months. This type of insurance, Alejandro and Deborah will give you a little bit more information on shortly. And then there's long-term disability insurance, which is typically for disabilities lasting more than 6 months and up to age 65. So how does this work in the real world? We'd all love to be invincible, but we know we're not. I wanted to point out some statistics that would paint a real picture of who needs to be prepared for a disability. 51 million working adults. That is the number of working adults in the United States that do not have disability insurance. 1 in 4 of today's 20-year-olds can expect to be out of work for at least a year due to a disability before they reach normal retirement age. 5.6% of Americans will experience a short-term disability, which is 6 months or less, on average every year. It can take 3 to 5 months from the time of application to get Social Security disability income to get an initial decision. And there were more than 1 million backlogged appeal cases in 2017 with an average processing time of 18 months or more, which pretty much makes Social Security not a very reliable source of income if you become disabled. And a 2014 study found that medical bills, lost job due to illness or injury were the leading causes of bankruptcy. The average Social Security disability benefit as of January of 2018 was $1,197 a month, or $14,364 a year. So it's significantly lower than most of us would make a year, so it's not a living wage. And almost half of American adults say that they cannot pay an unexpected $400 bill without having to take out a loan or sell something to do so. And from 2006 to 2015, only 34% of Social Security disability insurance claimants had their applications approved. So the question is, who needs disability insurance? We all do. So 48% of people say that they need disability insurance, but only 20% of people say that they have coverage. Does anybody want to maybe chime in and give ideas on why they think there's the disconnect?
I would say people just don't take time to actually make these things happen, or they don't realize there's benefits available to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one, that's a good reason. A lot of confusion seems to come from a misunderstanding of the coverage or a lack of understanding of options available that make the policies more affordable. And that's why with most disability policies, they are customizable to make them right for you. We have the privilege of being able to offer an FSOMA member-only benefit of 10% off of long-term disability plans through Mutual of Omaha. The board of FSOMA and myself have worked hard to help get you the tools that you need at prices you can afford. These plans are customizable to meet your needs and help affordability. A couple of basics to help you better understand long-term disability. First, the elimination period is the amount of time you have to wait before the policy will start to pay. The longer the elimination period, the lower the premium will be. And this is where you combine long-term disability with short-term disability to get the best of both worlds. The next part to consider is the benefit period, or how long the policy will continue to pay once it has begun. The Council on Disability Awareness says the average disability is 36 months. So the longer the benefit period, the more likely a serious disability will be adequately covered. A great thing, Mutual of Omaha is one of the oldest and largest insurance companies that specializes in long-term disability insurance. So we are very proud to partner with them to offer this benefit for you. And anytime you can visit the FSOMA website, and there is a link to contact me for more information on long-term disability. But long-term disability is only one piece of the puzzle. Deborah and Alejandro, who are also on the call with us, are with Colonial Life, and I will now pass it over to them so they can discuss more options that'll help you if life throws you a curveball. Deborah, Alejandro?
Thank you so much for all of that great information. Does our PowerPoint follow yours?
It does.
It does, okay. So I'm Deborah Malillo. Alejandro is on the phone as well. I'm sure he wants to introduce himself too.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone. This is Alejandro.
And Alejandro is bilingual, should anybody have that need, which is kind of handy, right?
Yes.
Colonial is, it says 76 years. At this point, I think it's 78-year old company. We are an American-based company. The only accent you're ever going to get when you need help with claims, well, either Alejandro or myself, or if you ever need to speak to Colonial directly, you'll get a South Carolina drawl because that's where they're located. We've made it so that we can do laptop enrollments. We actually pioneered that. Alejandro is hands down the expert when it comes to handling a lot of the technological things. So I for one, am very grateful for that. We have more than 1 billion in force premiums, and we serve over 80,000 businesses and organizations, and are very proud to be able to offer these benefits to your organization. It's actually quite an honor, and I think it's oftentimes difficult for organizations to get benefits. So I'm really glad that we were able to make this happen. Alejandro, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, actually, you put it very well. I mean, thank you, Deborah. Yes, absolutely. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to actually work with all of you to see and learn about the products that we will be actually, moving forward and talking about, which I should be able to, let me see, click.
I'd like to also
Chrissy,
add, just so that you guys have a little bit
Sure.
of background on who we are personally. I come from corporate America. I was actually offered similar benefits to what we are about to discuss with you guys. And, I didn't come from the insurance business. I read through the packet. I come from store fixtures and mannequins, and I took out the health insurance and I passed on the benefits we're about to discuss with you. One of the things that I think we bring to the table is when you sit with us, you're actually going to get the opportunity to speak to us one-on-one. That was not the case for me. I was handed a packet. And again, I didn't come from the insurance business, so I didn't really get what I was turning down. Lo and behold, 3 months later, I was diagnosed with cancer. And Alejandro and I have kind of done a quick calculation, he's the math guy, about what having a policy would have covered for me. And it would have been to the tune, I think we came up about $45,000. So these benefits really do, as Chrissy said before, really do come in handy when you've got some kind of an incident. I am a huge advocate of acupuncture. I continued with seeing medical doctors, went through my treatments, all of that. I am lucky to say I'm one of the survivors, but I've completely believe that the change in diet that I chose and going to get acupuncture treatments and doing yoga and all those things also really aided in my recovery. So I am very grateful to your organization for what you offer as well. The first plan that we have here is an accident plan. Basically, that's going to cover any kind of accident. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're chewing popcorn and you crack a tooth, there are benefits for cracking a tooth. It's not a dental policy per se, but there are benefits. If you are in a car accident and you break a leg in that car accident, you're going to have benefits for that. So we've gotten a little bit of a synopsis. If you look at the left side of the screen, you go seek treatment, whether that's a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, whoever it is that you seek treatment. Just for walking in the door, you're getting paid $175. And this is cash benefits to you directly, not to the provider. So you get to determine how you're going to then allocate those funds. If you're hospitalized, it's $1,750 getting admitted plus $500 a day. We are talking about the top plan. There's another plan that's a little bit lower than this, also pays $350 a day. Depending on if your fracture is a surgical or non-surgical, you're going to get up to $6,500 for that. Dislocations up to $5,200. Additional doctor's visits, follow-up visits, $75. If you're admitted to the hospital with this plan and it's not an accident, it's a sickness, this plan will pay you $100 per day for every day you are admitted. You can use this. It can be on and off job coverage. It's worldwide coverage. So for example, you are in Spain and you get in an accident. You want to get a copy of the itemized bill, and you can still claim that with Colonial, and they are going to pay you. Your rates are locked from the time you take out this plan. They don't raise the rate. The way that works is if Colonial wants to raise a rate, they have to get approval to raise every single policy in the plan through the state of Florida's insurance division, and that is a very difficult thing to do. So once you have a rate, that's the rate you pay. As long as you make your payments, that's your rate for life. All benefits are, like I said before, paid directly to you, and you can carry the benefits with you as long as you're paying your premiums. Again, Alejandro, is there anything you want to interject?
Yeah, so just keep in mind, those rates are weekly. When you sit with us, they will be a monthly rate. So just keep that in mind. If you see the difference is going to be a lot bigger, it's only because it's going to be a monthly amount. But at the end of the year, it's going to equal the same amount for everyone. Another thing to keep in mind, the health screen, it's $50 per person on the plan.
Thank you.
What does that mean? No, absolutely. What does that mean? If you go to a checkup, yeah, your typical thing, and Colonial actually has a list of items of tests that you can qualify for. It's very easy. The phone call, or you can do it on your personal Colonial portal online, and it also takes minutes. It can be done, and you can get it $50 not only for yourself, but if you have family members, your spouse, your partner, kids, every single one of them can get once a year $50 per person on the plan.
Basically,
and you can have.
I'm sorry.
No, what I was about to say. No, it's okay. Like if you say you have one child, you and your child, or you and your spouse. Okay, that's two, or three. But let's say you have 3 or 4 kids. That's a big family. The rate still is the same for family, no matter what, and you still can get $50 per person.
So what he's referring to when he talks about health screening, we call that a wellness benefit as well. So there's 26 different tests. So for example, ladies that are listening, mammogram, pap smear, fasting glucose, triglycerides, cholesterol test. There's a prostate exam for the guys, chest x-ray, EKG. So there's a whole list of 26 tests, regardless of how those tests are paid for by either your carrier, if you go for one of the free mammograms. However, it doesn't matter. Colonial is still going to give you the $50 once per calendar year for having that wellness exam. We are basically encouraging wellness. All you have to do is get the date and the test, make a phone call, or as Alejandro said, go into your back office portal, and you can file that claim, and they will send you a check, or you can do direct deposit. And I don't know,
right.
I guess we have a chat. So if anybody has questions, please go ahead and put your question below. I've been trying to watch the chats to see if there's actually any questions there. So please ask your question, and we'll see if we can keep up with whatever questions there are. Okay, so next on the list is the short-term disability. Chrissy went into detail about long-term disability. So basically your short-term is going to be the beginning disability policy before you actually need your long-term. So it's going to be for a period of up to, what, Chrissy, is it 6 months? Is that when the long-term would kick in?
Yeah,
or do they get
6 months is typically when you would want to start a long-term.
Okay, so you would take out a short-term disability prior to that. One thing I'd like to add about short-term disability that's a little bit different than long-term disability. Maternity leave is covered under short-term disability, and while that is not a disability, you are going to be out of work. So if it is a Regular delivery, it will cover 6 weeks. If it is a cesarean or something that does involve a little bit more physically on your body, it's going to cover 8 weeks. So that's another, if you're doing any family planning, that's another great way to take advantage of having a disability policy. As it indicates on the screen, there's a 3 or 6 month benefit period. If you're trying to match your short-term with your long-term, you would take the 6 month period. You're going to get up to 60% of your income paid to you. That is tax-free. So this is going to be income that's going to be paid. If any of you are having FICA taxes removed, they would not be removed from your short-term disability policy payments. We do include a waiver of the elimination period. So if you are hospitalized for a sickness, basically you will still get paid on day one. So you have choices, as Chrissy discussed earlier. Elimination periods are the times that you're not paid. So with short-term disability, if you have any kind of vacation time that you're already going to be paid for, you can reduce your short-term disability rates by, like, let's say you know you're going to have 2 weeks of paid vacation time. You can reduce your short-term disability by that 2 weeks to reduce your rate a bit. But if you're hospitalized, you'll get paid on day one. All benefits, again, are still paid to the policy owner. Rates are locked for as long as your premiums are paid. Alejandro, is there anything you'd like to add with this?
I mean, there's options. Obviously, the elimination periods, you got zeros. If anybody has ever seen short-term disability before, you know, they have 0, 7. Typically, the first number is the accident, which we typically do if you want to get paid immediately. 14, or there's an example on the bottom, is the amount of sickness. And up to 30 days, you can definitely waive for the elimination period. If anybody's following me, that can go to 0, 0 if you get hospitalized for 1 day. Again, the deductions here, there's an example for a 3 month off the job coverage. These are 26 pay periods, basically, you know, 26 pay periods in a year. So remember that everyone's going to be on a monthly amount. So if the amount may be, if you see it differently later on, they all will be monthly. So if you don't focus on these numbers, just keep in mind, online, there should be eventually the documents that you'll see everything on a monthly basis, that you'll see them correctly based on the incomes.
And when you schedule an appointment and go through, we go through this with you based on your personal situation. So the numbers are going to be accurate for your situation. If you're covering yourself, your spouse, your children, whoever you're covering, you'll actually see those numbers. You'll see what they're really going to be. You'll see them in monthly, on a monthly basis. And we can go over in more detail what those elimination periods, et cetera, mean for this particular policy or for whatever policy you're looking at. So don't get caught up, you know, in this. We'll explain it to you individually when you schedule an appointment.
Exactly.
And I did check, there were no questions, so we can probably move on to the next slide.
Okay.
Chrissy,
sure.
Chrissy, did you have something you wanted to add? I see there's a chat there from you.
Sorry, I was going to say an important thing to realize is that 60% of your income without taxes being taken out is very similar to 100% of your income. So although with most short-term and long-term disability plans, you're not going to be able to replace 100% of your income, you won't feel much of a difference as far as the benefits that you're receiving.
And additionally, when you're home or when you're out on disability, you're not going to have things like those lunches that you're going to, the gas going to and from work. So there's a lot of little things also that add up that you're now not going to be out of pocket because you're out on disability. So you're home more. So Chrissy's correct. You don't actually miss that income. And that's basically a requirement of the insurance industry. It's not Colonial's rule. It's just the way that it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
there?
Dental. We get a
Dental.
lot of questions for dental. Dental is seems to be a trigger, I think. This policy is going to give you a choice of two different policies. One's called a maximum allowable coverage. The other one is an actual provider PPO, which is a provider service. Alejandro and I, our personal choice is actually Plan 4, which is the maximum allowable coverage. It has 180/50. Basically what that means is you're going to get 100% of coverage for basic things. So you're going to get 2 cleanings per year covered at 100%. In fact, they are, again, encouraged by Colonial. They want you going for those cleanings, and I'll explain that more in a minute. You're going to get 80% for treatments that are a little bit more invasive, but not as easy as just going for a cleaning or an x-ray. So things like fillings. And then you're going to get 50% coverage for things that are a little bit more invasive, those things we all really love, like root canals. And that's typical for most dental policies. The reason that I mentioned earlier that those cleanings are important is this particular policy comes with what's called rollover benefits. So if you know you've got a root canal coming up or 2 root canals coming up and you've got $2,000 of benefit, but you haven't used your $2,000 of benefit and you would prefer to roll some of that over to the following year, as long as you're getting those cleanings, a portion of what's unused is going to roll to the next year. So you're going to have additional monies there to cover those services. And again, we can go over this more in detail. Maximum allowable coverage does not mean that you have to use one of Colonial's providers, although they have a very extensive list. However, if Colonial's provider, if our root canal is covered at, say, $500, and you go to a provider that charges you $600, Colonial is still going to only give you the $500. So you're going to be paying for that additional money. So again, it's encouraged to use one of the providers, but it's not mandatory that you do so. We have a very large network, as I mentioned. There's a $50 deductible, not for the cleanings and such, for the other services. This covers, as you can see, 17 to 75. Rates are locked, as we mentioned before. This particular policy, if you are using a provider, will pay the provider directly. They don't have to, but they will, so you can elect that option. Alejandro, is there something you'd like to add? Alejandro, did we lose you?
Sorry, I had myself on mute.
Oh, sorry.
That's
okay.
Why. No, essentially, yes, dental, PPO, 100, basically preventative. If everyone typically knows how your typical PPO has preventative, basic, and majors, the 100 is for preventative, 80 is for basic, 50 is for majors. There'll definitely be a list on the details on the plan. And yeah, again, Plan 4, definitely one to go with because it's $2,000, it's cheaper. Additionally, we may be actually going to be adding with this, it's an option, vision. Vision will also be a part of the dental plan here. It's actually an add-on for anybody that wants vision. It will be part of the dental. It could be a rider, so to speak, but it's an add-on. We can go into more details on another time with that. And
Chrissy, this PowerPoint is uploaded to the website, correct? So they have access, all the members have access to this information?
It can be made available. It is not currently on there, but there is an affiliate page with short explanations of each one of these that Alejandro had put together,
okay,
and a link to contact you guys for appointments and more information.
Okay, great. So yes, I know Alejandro worked on something, so that is up there, just the PowerPoint's not. Okay. So there is some information up there. If you guys want to add this, I mean, that's up to you, but as long as there's something so they know how to find us and everything, that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, so again, if there's any questions, I see some chats down here. Let's see if there's any questions on dental before we move along. I don't think I'm seeing anything. Okay, moving right along. I don't know who's handling
Hold
the.
on.
Okay, you are. All right, should have figured. Cancer, as I mentioned earlier, this is one that is near and dear to my heart. One thing I'd like to point out with cancer, because supplemental benefits are not mandated by the Affordable Care Act, we can still eliminate for pre-existing conditions. And the reason I'm pointing that out is when I started with Colonial, I had not reached my 5 years clear, so I could not qualify for my own cancer policy. So you have to be clear of cancer for 5 years, and that also means treatment. So if you are being treated in any way, shape, or form, you are not going to get a cancer policy. So it is very encouraged to write it if it's something that runs in your family, or if you have a concern about, you want to take it out before. Breast cancer has a 2-year elimination policy here in the state of Florida. So if you are 2 years clear, you can get a cancer policy. These policies cover things that health insurance policies also don't cover. The accident plan does as well. So for example, I had to have surgery at Jackson Memorial. I live in Stuart, Florida. That's 2 hours south of where I live. My family spent a week in Miami. Things like traveling back and forth to the hospital, a hotel room, family care. So if you have children, who's taking care of your children? Things like that are covered under our policies. Both the accident plan and the cancer plan have benefits for things like that. You can get second opinions, things like stem cell treatments are covered. There are benefits for things like that. I wound up getting 3 opinions before I actually settled on the doctor that was going to do my surgery. Full-time nursing, radiation and chemotherapy, anti-nausea medication. And when you take chemotherapy, trust me, you need anti-nausea medication, outpatient surgical treatments, experimental treatments. If you want to do something that maybe your insurance company's not behind, if you have health insurance, you can certainly use your policy for that. This policy also comes with an initial diagnosis. So God forbid you get that diagnosis, whatever amount you've elected, we've got 5,000 on the screen. You can actually go up to 10. So let's say you've chosen the 5. You go to the doctor says, I'm sorry to tell you, but yes, you do have cancer. You're getting that initial lump sum payment paid to you in addition to the other services you may need related to that cancer. As Alejandro pointed out with the accident plan, the cancer plan also has a health screening benefit or a wellness benefit. So if you have the accident plan and you have the cancer plan, the cancer is going to give you 100, the accident plan is going to give you 50. So again, ladies, if you go for a basic screening mammogram, you're now going to get $150 from Colonial just for having your mammogram. Or if you have, like I said earlier, fasting glucose, chest x-ray, prostate exam for the gentleman out there, EKGs, there's 26 tests and you would get $150. We have 2 levels available. Both levels cover the exact same benefits. The reason level 3 is a little less expensive than level 4 is level 3 will pay you a little bit less benefit, but they will pay you the exact same types of benefits. I mentioned that second opinion and travel and lodging are covered. The benefits, again, are paid to you. Your rates are locked for the duration of time that you pay your premium. There is also with cancer if God forbid you get cancer, there's a waiver of premium option. So you're now sick, you've got cancer, you're wondering how you're going to continue to pay for this. The cancer policy is going to give you a waiver of premium benefit so you don't lose your cancer policy. Alejandro, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, not at this time. I mean, no, you covered it great. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, the only thing obviously just to indicate the pricing. That's everyone, ladies and gents, that's the 52 deduction amount. don't worry that if you see other amounts when you do meet with your enrollers, most likely myself, those numbers will be higher because they're going to be a monthly rate. That 52 deductions indicates a weekly rate, but everyone's going to be done in a monthly amount. Okay, so just FYI.
Okay,
That's it.
that's a great thing. The reason it was broken down by either 52 or 26, those are very typical pay periods. So that's what's part of the screen. But like Alejandro said, because we're going to be handling you guys as self-pays instead of through an organization, or not through, when I say through an organization, through an employer, that's why your rate's going to be based on a monthly as opposed to a weekly or a biweekly. Okay, if we could move on to the next one, please. Critical illness. So critical illness is a lump sum payment that, once again, you get to determine what amount you want, up to $75,000. So you can choose in increments of $5,000. And if you get something like you have a heart attack or a stroke or occupational HIV, coma, paralysis, so it's major illnesses, kidney failure. If, God forbid, you have a heart attack and you've chosen a policy that has a $75,000 payout, Colonial is going to write you a check for $75,000. God forbid you have a stroke after that heart attack. Let's say 180 days later you have a stroke. Colonial is going to write you a check for another $75,000. If you then have a third incident, you're going to get another $75,000. So this policy will pay up to 3 times the face amount. If your first ailment was a heart attack and you have a second heart attack, they will give you 25% of the $75,000 that you have left. I know that all sounds confusing, but once again, we will explain that in detail when we actually sit and talk to you. This policy also includes a $50 health screening. That's $50 again for every person on the plan. So in simple math, if you have an accident plan, you have a cancer plan, and you have a critical illness plan, once per calendar year, you're now getting $200 for that mammogram, that pap smear, that fasting glucose, the PSA exam. So that's what that health screening wellness benefit means. We can issue this plan for ages 17 to 70. Pre-existing conditions will be a factor here. So if you've already had that heart attack and you're being treated, this is probably not going to be a policy we'll be able to write for you, but it's a very important policy. The younger you are, the less expensive this policy will be. So for example, if you look at those, the rates, a 25 to 29-year-old for $10,000 is 82 cents. If you look at the 60 to 64-year-old, it is now $4.19. Once you take out this policy, if you are in that 25 to 29 age group, it does not change and go up when you have birthdays. It stays locked at that rate for the rest of your life as long as you're paying that benefit. So again, if you want to take out a policy and you're a little bit younger, this is a great policy to take out earlier on. Colonial, of course, is aware that these things are more likely to happen as you get older, although we've seen them happen in younger people as well. But that's why the rates stay less expensive for the younger people. It doesn't mean that us older folks shouldn't have this. It's still a great policy. It just will be a little bit more expensive for the older people. All benefits still are paid to the policy owner. So that check would be written to you, and you then get to allocate it how you need to allocate those funds. And as I mentioned, the rates are going to be locked for the duration of the time you have it. Alejandro, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Yes. So everyone that is young, who knows about how this life insurance works? When does it pay out? The only time, and I know sometimes I kid with this because it sounds kind of
life insurance pays when you die?
Yeah, exactly. That's the only time it pays, when it dies. This critical illness can actually pay while you're still alive. When is it most expensive? When you are alive and you have the bills.
Yep.
if you survive that heart attack, that stroke, that everything, I know the younger people are probably like, hey, I am Superman, or I'm Supergirl, or She-Hulk, whatever. Obviously, references from there, obviously for certain reasons. But if something happens, then reality hits, and now all of a sudden these bills start hitting. And if you live, you're gonna have those bills. If you die, hey, you had life insurance. Maybe you did, maybe you don't. You gave it to somebody. Okay, hey, clean slate. But if you didn't, and now you have bills, you want to have something that actually protects it, throws you some lump sum that's tax-free. Okay, look at it this way. You see that 82 cents for 10,000. There's for an example. Okay, and look at it for when it's 60. Okay, just imagine. I think these are the weekly or the biweekly. I don't know yet. There's another part in the bottom, but just imagine that keeping that price for the rest of your life. Okay, and in the event something does happen, you are always paying that 82 cents, and then that 10,000, boom, you get it. Okay. Now keep in mind, you also have that $50 per person per plan of wellness. Just do the math. Some of these things can actually you can actually get it for free. If you just do that wellness, you will get that $50 and it actually pays for the actual policy itself.
And to your point,
now, if
you really do need the money more when you're alive than when you're dead, because I mean, if God forbid you have that heart attack and you die, it's not like they can come to the grave and collect the money. So
exactly. Yeah, that's the point of this one. That one, I see this one as it's a good one. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that one.
All right, let me look and see if there's any. No, there's no questions. Okay, so we can move on to the next one. And every person that actually does schedule an appointment with us is going to get a well card. I use mine all the time. Alejandro uses his. I don't know, Chrissy, if you've activated yours or not, but basically you go to www.wellcardsavings.com. You're going to put in the group ID number. It is a great card for discounts for Disney World, Busch Gardens, rental cars. You can shop with this card online at major retailers. So if you like to buy your vitamins at Vitamin Shop, you'll get an extra discount. When you get to $15 of shopping, they send you a check. There is a pet, a 24-hour pet line where if God forbid you need a vet, you don't have to take the pet necessarily to the vet. You can get a vet on the phone. There is a copay for that. But if you have a cat like I do that does not want to get in her carrier, sometimes that's much easier to do than have to pack them up and ship them off to the vet. There's also a same benefit for humans. So if you want to telemedicine for your child is home and you would prefer not to try to even get the appointment with the doctor, and you know that they basically just have, some kind of bacterial infection, you can get a doctor on the phone. They can call in a prescription for you, and you don't ever have to leave the house except to maybe pick up that prescription unless you've got somebody that can deliver it to you. So it's a great wellness card. It is free just for meeting with us. Again, I use mine all the time. I know Alejandro does as well. And that's just one of the additional services that we will provide. And does anybody have anything they want to interject?
No, it's all good.
Okay, and I think that might wrap up our presentation. Does have all of our contact information. Chrissy, thank you so much for making all this happen. Really very appreciative to you and Natalia.
Yeah, I want to thank Alejandro and Deborah for being here, and we are so excited that we were able to get these benefits and being able to work with FSOMA to help acupuncturists help people.
Right, and we'll be able to meet with people either currently, they don't have to wait until the presentation in August. We can schedule appointments where it will be a screen share, kind of like we're doing tonight, so they can actually see everything and have them explained, or we can sit with them at that meeting in August.
Absolutely.
Chrissy, Chrissy, I don't know if we have a little time or not, where there'll be a way to actually show if you can just give me a little I don't know if I can screen share mine, but it's easy how to get to one place to the other, to the actual website, and then from there to click the bottom. Okay.
So I think I actually have it open already. So on your member website,
Oh, that's so helpful.
if you are at the beginning of the website, there is right on the right side here, member benefits page. You have to be a member to get to this screen, so you would have to put in your username and password. And there's more information on the Mutual of Omaha that we spoke about earlier, and you can click here, which will open an email that'll come to me. Also on here is more information. Like I said, Alejandro has put together a little information on each one of the plans.
Right now, yeah.
And you can click here to book a consultation. You'd place your information and it would go to Alejandro and Deborah. So it makes it very accessible for the members.
Perfect. And yes, if you can go back to that screen again, one more time. Yeah. So ladies and gents, just if you go down, perfect. Not right now, but soon, every icon right there that shows dental, accident, short-term critical cancer will have their own detailed brochures with rates in them. So that way you can learn more about each plan, okay? And you can download them and you can review them. And then also on the bottom, there's like, Chrissy said, click here, consult, put the information, and voila. There'll be available times you can pick from. And it's already available, already out there for this week. So anyone who wants to go out there can put themselves on the list already.
All right. Thank you both for all the work you did on the website. Very much appreciated. It really looks great.
Yes, thank you both. And Natalia, we thank you for having us and for helping us present this information to the members.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, thank you
Natalia
guys.
and
That
Chrissy.
was a great presentation, very informative. This video is being recorded, so we will have it accessible for all of you to review again. It's there for you. Like Chrissy said, there's information and ways to contact each individual consultant. Sorry. So again, thank you all for everything that you do, and thank you for taking your time on tonight to share with you your knowledge and obviously your passion. I know Deborah, it comes out of you, your passion for this plan, and I can see why you're involved in this. So Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And
thank you.
thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful night.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
You as well, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.